Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on for my first of two tutorials using the awesome products that I picked up from Beebeecraft recently in my latest unboxing. So the links to Beebeecraft will be down below, as will the links to the individual products I'm using. There's also a link to Beebeecraft's YouTube program. If you have over 100 subscribers, you may be eligible to get free product to showcase on your channel. So you can go and have a look at that if you like. Also, there's a code which is NAT10 for 10% off of your orders. Okay, so for today's tutorial, I will be using this die and these double-sided sticky sheets that come in a 50 pack, which is awesome, heaps of fun. So these two I'll be using in my next tutorial. Now, I was actually going to use these together in a project, but I did do a trial and the glue's so good on these sheets that my dies don't cut through it very well. So I had to go to plan B, but that was just as much fun anyway. So I have my big shot here. I have some black cardstock, which I want to cut the die with, but I've got a second piece of cardstock as well. I'm putting my die on upside down because I have heard that that cuts better, especially for these intricate dies. And I also find it cuts better through the first piece if I do have a second piece there as well. So I start weeding the little bits out, but then I realise if I pull that bottom layer off, it pulls all the bits out for me. So that was handy. So now I've got some coloured vellum. I have stacks of coloured vellum that I grabbed off of Marketplace. And I'm just using the die to trace around so I know how I want to cut my bit of vellum. So I'll do it on both of the purple pieces. I'm using purple and black because I've got a project that I'm using those colours in at the moment. I find it easier to do this method rather than sticking this bit onto the other piece and then cutting around it. So I'm just trimming just inside the traced line that I made there. So there ends up being a bit of overhang on those straight edges, but that's a lot easier to trim when you've stuck the top on than those scalloped pieces. So that didn't bother me too much. So I'm just making sure it's sort of fitting where I want it. You want to make sure the scalloped edges aren't sticking out because they're the hardest to trim afterwards. And then stick it down. So this is where I was going to use my double-sided tape sheets. I was going to stick them on, then cut it on the big shot and then use that to stick them together. But as I said, the glue is very good and it was hard to cut out the little bits, so it's just as easy to do this. And I stick that down onto my vellum and let it dry. Looks really pretty, and I've got so many different colours of vellum that I'll be able to do this in all sorts of different colours. Just using my pokey tool to pick out some little bits of glue that are showing, trimming the edges down. And that makes an awesome corner pocket for my journals, which I will show you after. Just trying to cut this tiny little bit that's overhanging there. So for my next project, I am using my double-sided sticky sheets here. And I grabbed some of this fabric that I got from a recent second-hand shop haul. I'm just putting my sticky sheet on top so I know the approximate size that I want to cut my fabric. And I'm using my rotary cutter I'm hopeless with those things. I always go crooked, even with the ruler. So just cutting it out to about the same size. Now, initially I had a struggle to get it started to peel off, but I'm a pro at it now. So you take the first sheet of plastic off to reveal the sticky. I found it easy to roll the fabric up and then unroll it on top of the sticky sheet to get it sort of even and not bubbled up in that. And it stuck all right, actually. I was surprised. I didn't know how it would go with the fabric. So you can peel it off easy if you want to, but it works fine to stay on there for your projects. Just cutting off any overhang. So now I've grabbed one of my Sharpie pens. As this other side still has the plastic sheet on top of the sticky side, it's easy to see the Sharpie pen over the top and it doesn't smudge in that. And I'm just measuring against the lines on my mat some different sized strips of it. So I'm making fabric washi, I'd call it, I suppose. And then just trimming down the lines. So this is a really handy project to do if you want lots of bits like this that you can sort of take wherever you are out in the lounge or off with you in the car, and just have the bits ready and not have to worry about the messiness of your glues and that. Now I've got some stamped images that I had pre-stamped in a previous project. And I thought I'd do similar with those and make some stickers. So I'm just trimming the sheet down so that I can fit as much as I can onto my double-sided sheet. So I just use the tip of my knife to try and pick off that plastic piece. Once you get it started, it's all right. It's just hard to see when it's started because it's so clear. And then sticking my stamped bits down. You have to be a little careful with placement because it, with the old book page, it might break if you're trying to reposition it. So I have here a digital from Which Craft Do You Do? I think it's one of their bits and pieces collections. And I thought that would be awesome to do some paper washi tape with. Because you get the 50 sheets as well, you can go for it and have a bit of a play with a whole lot of different items. Then I have some of Tracy Fox digitals from a Dispatch kit. I thought that'd make some fun stickers to have on hand as well. So just cutting that down so it fits. I was trying to keep the knife sort of flattish to pick the corners up, but in the end I learned that if you sort of point it downwards and get the little point right on the edge, you can sort of scrape it up a bit quicker and easier. So now I've got some plain scrap paper. It's just rubbishy paper that I stamp off on and that sort of thing. And I thought that I would use that to back some words out of magazines and books that I keep for collaging and mixed media and my journals as well. I do want to catalogue these. I got that idea from Anne at Which Craft Do You Do? She did stick a whole lot of her words to a sheet of paper so they're all ready to go when you want to use them. And I thought that would be really handy to do with the double-sided tape sheets as well. So you've got them sort of as stickers and you just peel it off and use it when you want them. So I've stuck all my words down with my tacky glue. I do end up cutting them out, but in hindsight it'd be better to keep them as sheets and catalogue them, maybe do them in groups of alike words and then go through and grab the sheet that you want. when you want to use it, and just cut them off as you use them. So I've got all the bits and pieces stuck down now, so it's just a point to cut them all out, do all the fussy cutting. So I'll cut the paper here into strips. Now the sheets cut the best with nice sharp scissors. These aren't my sharpest scissors, but it's still cutting fine. And then I'll fussy cut all the other bits and pieces out. Make my little stickers. So now I want to show you how I use my corner. I've got pages from the journal that I'm making there. And these big corner die cuts make awesome tucks for your corners. You can just put them down like that top one without the vellum as well, although it wouldn't make too good of a pocket because things would get stuck as you're trying to put them in. So I'm just applying my tacky glue here down the two edges to leave the scalloped edge open to slip something into. And then just cut off any overhang of the page. My pages are never cut straight. And I think it's beautiful. And then I decide I want to use that piece for just some top embellishment, but I just want a partial piece of the die cut. So I just trim it a bit and neaten it up. And it adds quite a nice decoration there, and I've got some leftover bits for future use. And then I find something to slip into the pocket in my journal, and it sits in there nicely. So that's the way I'll be using that die. So here I have a tag and a bit of paper that came from Which Craft Do You Do as a gift. And I just ripped a bit of the paper out, and I'm going to stick that onto the tag. I'm just inking with some black ink first. So I thought I'd do a vintage style tag with some of our sticker pieces and washi pieces, just to show you how I plan to use them in the future. So they're my little stamped bits that I cut out as stickers. And then there's the fabric washi. Cut it down before I took the backing off, because of course I'll use that little piece as well, so I'll keep that as a bit of washi. Here I am fumbling to take the backing off again. I make it look hard to begin with, but as I said, once you get used to how to do it, it's quite quick and easy to get off. And it sticks down beautifully. I was so happy of how this worked. think I'll invest in more of that sticky sheet as well, because I think this is a great idea to take around with you and have on the go. So just figuring out my placement, which always takes me forever. So of course you could use book page, pictures, anything with the sticky background. So I've got a little Tracy Fox label there from the Dispatch kit to put on this tag as well. So I haven't stuck those scissors down properly because I know I want to slip this little piece in so it looks like the scissors are going to cut it. So now to ink around the whole tag, and then we'll add a topper. So I decide that I might as well just use the fabric washi for my topper as well. Saves me pulling glue out to stick anything else on. And I was keen to see how it would go sticking to itself for this. And it worked beautifully. So that's that tag all done. So the next one I want to do is this pre-bought tag that I had in my stash. Again, just inking around the entirety of it. I've got my paper washi there from Which Craft Do You Do? I need to have a little journal to stick my little offcuts in rather than waste them. So I've got mainly the Dispatch kit there from Tracy Fox for all the little pieces for this, and then I've got one of my magazine words. I thought it went well with the theme of this tag. So it's about now I realise that if I use just the point to pick away at that corner, it's much, much quicker. So now it's just a case of sticking it all where I want it. So those of you who use stickers a lot will find this very easy. I don't. So that's why it took me a bit of time to figure out how to get the backing off. So that's that tag done. Now just for a topper, I found some hemp string here. Decided that would go nicely. and I just put it through and tie a double knot in the top, and that's that tag all done. So I'm on for a recap of what we've just done. I grabbed this die from Beebeecraft, beautiful corner die. It's lots bigger than I thought, even though they do have the measurements on their website. Yeah, my mind doesn't compute these things, but I was really glad actually that they were so big because they make such awesome corner pockets. So you can just stick them to your page like this, but obviously you wouldn't want to use that as a pocket because everything would get stuck in the little bits and pieces. But it's a beautiful decorative corner for the corner of your pages. And as you saw, you can cut it down and use separate little bits here and there, which I have some leftovers here, which will be fun to use in something. And then I made these cool corner pockets with some vellum. I have a stack of coloured vellum here that I got from Marketplace. So it's been great to have an excuse to drag that out and start using it. So I can make these in all sorts of different colours, which will be awesome. So I'm working on this journal at the moment, so I thought it'd be great to be able to do something that I could put in here. So I've got the darker purple vellum behind there, and I just stuck the two sides down so we can slip our card in there. And then that's the bit that I cut down just to put as a decorative piece on the page. So I really love how these turn out as corner tuck spots. Absolutely beautiful, and I'll be finding somewhere to put that one as well, and I'm sure I'll be making heaps more of these with my vellum and that die. So that worked really well. Initially I was having trouble cutting with it, but that's because the cardstock I had was really old and thick. So I changed to my normal cardstock and it cuts like a dream. Also, I find if I put another piece of paper or cardstock underneath, it helps cut through this layer a lot better and made it a lot easier to punch the little bits out. And as you saw, when I peeled the little bits from the back, it took all the little bits out for me. So that was really handy. So it made life very easy. So that was heaps of fun to use that. And then the next product we used was the sticky double-sided tape sheets. So I love these. I was finding it difficult to peel the layers off. They're very, very thin, which was unexpected. But I must say, the layers of plastic, I think they're strong enough to use for us to make pockets and that with, so I'll keep any of the big ones that I take off to do that sort of thing with. They do cling to you though, the bits. But I did find at the end, I figured if you use the pointy tip on your little knife and just like scrape at the corner, you can lift that little bit up a lot easier. So I got really quick at it in the end, so that's great. Love the way it worked though, really love it. So handy if you're maybe going somewhere, crafting on the go, and you don't want to have to take your glue and that. If you have bits like this ready to go, you know, you just peel the stuff off, stick them down and have some fun. And that was really fun without having to worry about glue all over my fingers and all that sort of stuff. So on this I used magazine word plus some of the digitals. I used a digital sheet from Tracy Fox, her Dispatch, and I also used some digital pieces. The page that had these long strips was from Which Craft Do You Do? They're bits and pieces. So they worked out really nice, and it's just a great way. You could use book page or whatever you like, and I did the stamped images and just made stickers with it all, and washi tape, fabric washi and paper washi. So that was heaps of fun to play around with. So I do recommend the stuff. It seems to be sticking, even the fabric, really well. So just got to be careful when you're peeling the back off not to peel the whole lot of the sticky off, but you know that you've got too many layers, and yeah. So this is a tag that I got from Which Craft Do You Do with an order. So I used some of my previously stamped images and fussy cut them out. Made stickers. And the words that I got from magazines and that, I have piles of those, and I've been wanting to organise them. And I did see an idea from Anne from Witchcraft Do You Do ages ago, where she stuck them all onto a sheet of paper, and then you file that paper away, and it's easy to flip through and see which words you want and cut them out. I think I'll do that with these and leave them in the sheet form. So I stuck these down just on some of my scrap paper, just to get them in the sheet size, and then stuck that paper onto my double-sided sticky sheet. And I think I'll leave them like that and file them away, and I'll try and organise them into categories so it's easy for me to flip through and find a word when I want it, and then just cut it out when I want to use it, and it'll already be ready to stick down. So that'll be heaps handy for when I'm doing mixed media and collaging and that sort of thing. So that's the idea there. So I got heaps of little bits left over here, and I want to do a whole lot more of that because, you know, really, I didn't even touch the surface of the sheets. There's 50 sheets, so you can do heaps with them. So very much enjoyed that. I do have one more tutorial to go, and I've got a banner punch and little vellum envelopes to play with for that one. So keep an eye out for that in the next week. So a massive thank you to Beebeecraft. The links to the products that I'm using for the two tutorials will be down below, as will the link to Beebeecraft. There's also a code for you to get 10% off of your orders, which is Nat10, and that's below as well. So go and check them out and see what you think. Take care, be good, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.